Podcast about sports, about sports, about sports.
Howdy, Ags from the Tailgate, home of Aggie football. This is Coach and the delivery man. What's up, C Money? Man, we've been talking prior to this podcast, man. I'm excited to get your takes today because you got a little fire in you today, I think.
It's more of annoyance than fire. I'm just annoyed because we've been saying the same thing for years and no one's listening. Yeah.
All right, let's start it off. Brought to you by Frida Homes, building Aggie dreams, custom home builders with over 15 years of experience in the Brazos Valley. If you're looking for someone that cares about you and the details you care about, contact Frida Homes. Visit them on Instagram at frida.homes or give Justin a call at 979-450-4466. When you call, just remember, everyone loves their Frida Homes.
Frida Homes.
Folks, don't forget to email us at agstailgate@gmail.com. Get us on the YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Great view.
Subscribe
lately, man. Let's see all you guys subscribe. Give us a little commentary there on the YouTube page as well. We'll get you here on the show. Speaking of those comments, Corey, we got a bunch of them today. It's going to take a while.
That's fine. Let's do it.
Our listener, Gig'em Aggies. This referring to the loss to Miami. This is all on Durkin. Miami had 33 blitz packages and we did 3. Jimbo says he's a good coach, but film shows otherwise. Any thoughts?
Yeah, no shit. We've been saying that for a while. I mean, I appreciate the comment, but yeah, it's, Durkin sucks. Jimbo knows it. I don't know if he can get rid of the guy or not, why he couldn't, but it's just ridiculous. They have that much talent on that side of the ball, and we can't get any freaking pressure on a quarterback that's stationary. I mean, it's annoying. It's very frustrating. Not the comment. I'm talking about the defense and Durkin watching the team play. I quit watching the game after the third quarter.
Van Dyne, as his mom likes to call him.
Oh God,
statue. He's a statue back there, and we couldn't even take him off his point ever. So 100% agree with Gig'em Aggies. And here's the other thing that really gives you perspective about where this program is under Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo comes out in his press conference on Monday, and they ask him specifically, well, how's Durkin doing right now this season? And Jimbo says, you know what he says? Oh, Durkin's a great coach, and he's doing a great job. Like,
I found that frustrating.
How does he find
that frustrating? Why can't Jimbo just tell us the truth? I mean, that's all I want to hear is a coach tell the truth. Like, Durkin had a shitty game. He had just come out there, Jimbo. What did Durkin do? He sucked. He sucks. The guy. I mean, we didn't put any blitz packages. The guy just said we had 3 of them the whole game. Miami had 33. Let's look at the stats. Look at the
scoreboard. He was trying to exaggerate a point, but point taken.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, right? And we've been talking about this for, I don't know, a year now. Like, Jimbo in his press conferences basically has just, given up on saying anything truthful, right? Everything he has to, it's all great sunshine and unicorns, brother. It's like we've got the best players. They're doing the great job. We've got the best coaches. They're all doing a great job. And I'm not trying to ask him to throw Durkin under the bus, but you could answer that question and be like, we've got a lot of work to do defensively. We've got to fix some things, and there's a lot that needs to change, right? We need to make some adjustments. Something.
Exactly. He's the head coach. Start making them, Jimbo. Maybe it's not all on Durkin. Maybe this is Jimbo's fault.
Yeah, why would Durkin do anything when his coach literally just came out and said he's doing a great job?
Shit. I want to see Jimbo should be mad as hell right now. He should be mad after last season.
Durkin might be thinking he's about to get a raise, man. He might be thinking he's about to get a raise because he's doing such a good job.
Jimbo should put about 4 or 5 of those coaches on the hot seat.
I love it,
along with himself.
It's become comical, if you ask me. Look, moving on to the next comment. Dr. Yu, Aggies are good guys. Heck of a fan base. The quarterback is legit. Needs some consistency up front. Now, keep in mind, Dr. Yu, he's a Miami guy.
Dr. Yu.
Appreciate the
Thanks
praise.
for the Yeah, it's great. But yeah, no shit about the consistency up front. We've been talking about that for a year. It's not consistency. We have consistency. They consistently suck. There is consistency. That's the definition of consistency. It's the same thing over and over.
They have been consistently bad. That's correct.
Yes, consistently bad. So, yeah.
Look, number one, I'd like to say here is that I love me some Connor. I do think Connor is legit. He's a good quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
The second piece on this is, once again, another reason why there is no excuse for Jimbo, because the fact of the matter is the fan base is excellent. The fan base is amazing. The support is amazing.
They're getting frustrated.
Our buddy Asian Persuasion back in the commentary. He says, great video, guys. Hated the Durkin hire. All the talent on defensive line to be poorly coached. What's going on with Father? He's so much promise as a freshman. And then he also wants to know why don't we use David Bailey on short yardage now that Moss is been hurt?
Well, I mean, the thing about Bailey is we got two other running backs in the backfield that are supposed to be badass. It doesn't matter who you put back there. That offensive line sucks. Father, he's been banged up. That's why he's not playing. Santos is supposed to be a badass recruit. I think he's going to be good. I just think the coaching sucks. Once again, I mean, defensive coaching sucks. The offensive line coaching, they've both been down for going on 2 years.
Adazio's just freaking horrible. And the fact that
2 years now,
right, sure, give that
coaching.
some reps. I don't care. You know what? It's the same shit, right? If behind that offensive line, nobody's going to do anything.
It doesn't matter who's running the ball. Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Not when there's three people in the backfield by the time you get the football, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. And the fact is that Basantis is a talented kid, but he's a freshman. So what do you expect? Yeah, you expect him to make freshman mistakes. That's going to happen. But that's why
they're killing his confidence.
So that's why you had a guy that started 2 years in a row and fathering. He's been in the program. He's there.
Yeah. Coaching staff is a confidence killer. Let's put him in a bad situation and jerk him out. Jesus. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Love it. I love it. Ram comes in. He says, gag 'em. Problems, very disappointing. I think that says it all.
Ram, I know Ram. We worked together, and he is spot on. He came to work the other day going, gag. He's right. Right on. Spot on, Ram.
Our buddy Parr says, fire Durkin today, even if interim. He has to go.
Hey, buddy, you're preaching to the choir there. You're definitely preaching to the choir because, I mean, I texted Alejo to fire him after he got off the plane or before he got off the plane. I wouldn't even let him on the plane.
I don't think the game was over when you wanted to fire him, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Chuck, I'm not going to try to say the rest of that. Says, don't think Miami will be that good. Same team that struggled with Miami of Ohio. We just suck. What was that, D? No tackling, three-man front. Van Dyke looked like a Heisman. He said the Aggies make more players from other teams look like Heisman contenders than any Aggies. If we go,
he's right, man.
Get rid of Jimbo, add Texas win, and it will also affect recruiting. Look, I think that's a great point at the end.
He's spot on too. I mean, Van Dyne looked like a Heisman. I mean, all the wide receivers look like Heisman.
Van Dyne, who got benched last year, right? Van Dyne, who got benched.
Yeah. Lost to Middle Tennessee State.
Look,
they brought in a Marshall coordinator and some other coordinator, and I mean, this team is. I'm not going to say they're bad at all. They're a hell of a lot better than we are. They proved it Saturday.
Look, and he a couple of things he mentioned, the tackling issue, right? But the tackling issue for some of it is not only that they don't practice tackling clearly, but also that these players are out of position, right? I mean, they're out of position and they're having to try to overcome to try to get to places to tackle, right? So, they're not there with their feet, they're there with their arms, right? And that just that's not going to get you there, right? Not against D1 competition. And the other thing is, you watch other teams, a lot of gang tackling and stuff. Man, it was like one-on-one in space, and athletes win that constantly, all the time. You have to have a better situation for your defenders, just period. But the point I wanted to stress here is the worst part about this situation is if Texas goes off and has a good year this year, coming into the SEC next year, and we have another bad year and stick to Jimbo, of course, what's going to happen to recruiting? That's going to have a huge, huge effect on recruiting, right?
Good. Well, I hadn't seen it affect it yet.
Season ain't over, buddy.
That's true.
Cody Scherer, offensively, not too upset. O-line has improved from last year. Running back blocking is biggest problem. Defense, the scheme is killing us. Tackling from secondary is bad on players. Shoulder shove. SEC looks so bad anyway. Anyone can still win. Predict 7-5.
I could see the 7-5. I could see 6-6. I could see 5-7. I could see all that. Offensive play calling's better. The offensive line play is not much better.
Mm-hmm.
We have just really good skill position players. I think they make the offensive line look better. Connor's learned from last year's mistakes himself that he needs to get rid of the ball quicker and move around that pocket, or else he's gonna get killed.
Yeah, 100%. I think Connor's making that offensive line look better. And
exactly,
the running backs have had some issues in blocking, but it's not all them. It's definitely not all them. The offensive line is contributing to those problems themselves quite a bit. So I wouldn't put it all on
secondary. And on the secondary aspect, it's a defensive team. It's a whole defensive concept. Yeah, the secondary is not that good, but we know that. And our strength is supposed to be our D line and getting pressure, letting the quarterback get hurried and make mistakes. You shouldn't have to cover a guy for that long because we're going to fail. He should be getting rid of the ball quicker, and he's not.
Corey,
so, it's just.
Let me give you an example of why this is a problem, right? Because I'm going to go back to my coaching days. I can't remember who we were facing, but we were facing a team in the playoffs, and our left tackle was all right. He was okay, and but they had a defensive end that was just a stud athlete, right? He was a stud athlete. He's just better athlete than our big defensive tackle. And at the time, the offensive coordinator was running stretch to an open side tackle there, to that left tackle. He was running the stretch, and the defensive end wasn't going to get reached, and he blew it up every time. And halftime comes around, and the guy comes over, and he says, we got to get that left tackle, and we got to do something. We got to block him. He has to do better, whatever. And I looked at him. I said, look, you're asking a kid to do something he's not capable of. Period.
He's not going to beat that guy, right? He's not going
to get there. I don't care what you do to that kid, he's just not going to get there. You can either put a tight end on that side and chip that defensive end, or you can run the other way, or do something different, run the counter to him to where if he gets up the field, you kick him out, right? But don't ask your kids to do something they're not able to do. Kind of like asking Damani Richardson to cover number 7. If something bad happens, that's on you, because there's no expectation that kid's going to be able to do that. It just isn't.
Well, that's the whole thing about the A&M secondary. They're not going to cover for a long period of time and be successful. They're not cover guys right now. They need more experience. And Jesus, and that defensive line just standing there basically blocking the other team's offensive line. You're like, oh, they're not going to get any rushing yards. Well, they're not trying to run the fucking ball. They're not trying. They're sitting there letting the quarterback sit in the pocket and throw the ball downfield.
No use of the hands to get off blocks, nothing. It's fine.
No, they're just like, don't touch us.
We're going to
We should put our D-line as the offensive line. I think I said that earlier.
They did better. JP Ramirez says, Aggie football is cursed, literally.
I think it's Jimbo.
Yeah, they're cursed with Jimbo Fisher. That is true. Yardman Mike says, fair and honest take, believe Aggies are 9 or 10 win team and a threat to win the West. Just bad scheme defensively. I don't know. Could anybody win the West? Right now they can. All the teams are there. I probably would not. I wouldn't pick the Aggies to do it. How about that?
On a talent base, yeah, I think we have the talent to win the West.
Yes.
Coaching,
yes.
if you had to pick of all 14 teams in SEC, we have the worst or second worst coaching staff. I don't know who's the worst. I'm just giving us a chance to have somebody below us. But our
Florida?
offensive line is not
Florida?
possibly Florida. I mean, Vanderbilt with what they were working with, you can't say they're a bad coaching staff. They just don't have the tools
They
to
don't have
work
any
with it.
talent.
Yeah, they don't have the talent. I mean, you give that coach our talent, he'd probably, oh shit. But yeah, our guys. And sorry,
Natty,
Mike. I mean,
Natty.
yeah, seriously, he'd be challenging Georgia probably in the East.
Uh,
But I mean, we have the talent. There's no doubt about the talent. We have it. It's just, I mean, I don't understand what Jimbo and Durkin and all these guys are saying. Going, well, we screwed that one up, guys. I wonder if that's what they say to each other. I mean, I don't know what they say in a meeting. Are they giggling? Saying, they're paying us for this.
you know
They're
what they're
like
saying in the
they're
meeting
paying
is?
us.
You know what they're probably saying in the meeting is? Man, I wish our players were better.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that I can give credit to Durkin and Jimbo is they can recruit. But other than that, I haven't seen them develop a single player.
It's
I
pretty
mean, I see
sad.
our guys go to other teams and do better. I mean, Chase Lane caught a 45-yard touchdown pass from Georgia Tech.
Uh,
Shit.
your boy Hayes King has been back-to-back 300-yard passer, by the way. Jay Smith says Jimbo is a sellout and glad he coaches our team. Fire him. What can he say?
Yeah.
Michael Balliot, a Longhorn fan, Corey chiming in.
Yeah,
It's
go ahead.
painful for him to watch the Aggies struggle like this. He says, write the check, let Jimbo go. Look, 100%, right? And his comment is, college football is better when both teams are good. And that's going to be especially true starting next year when the rivalry comes back, right?
Right.
You want to see that become a rivalry. I think college football fans want to see that become a rivalry. And it
Oh,
doesn't.
absolutely.
That's not going to happen when, the Longhorns win 9 out of 10, right? We want some competition. Right? And we want that Thursday or that Thanksgiving weekend or whatever day that ends up getting played to be huge, right? Back in the day, man, when it mattered so much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Thanks for the comment, Michael. Brian Giles says the problem wasn't scheme, it was heart, athleticism, and skill. Miami played harder. Brian,
No.
we can't disagree. We just can't disagree more with you than what we do.
No, that was
it's no question that there's plenty of athletes on this team. I mean, the entire country was recruiting every one of the players that's on this squad, right? I mean, it's not like Jimbo and his crew were the only people that wanted these defensive linemen, that wanted these guys in the secondary, these 4- and 5-star kids. Nobody was talking about them not being athletic when they were recruited. The fact of the matter is that this crappy scheme that they're being put into slows their play down and makes them think more than actually run. So you can't even tell if they're athletic or not because they're not allowed to go play, period.
Exactly.
And when your guys that are pass rushers like Overton, like Diggs, like Silla, like White, like Harris are all in coverage during passing downs while
ridiculous.
You got 3 defensive tackles supposedly stopping rushing the passer. Yeah, that's not, has nothing to do with athleticism. That has everything to do with schematic.
Now, I don't want to jinx this or nothing, but if I was one of those guys, I would be transferring in a heartbeat to put me in a position to where I'm not going to be a cover defensive end in the NFL.
No,
they want me to get upfield. One of the highest paid positions in the NFL is defensive end because they put pressure on the quarterback.
Certainly not stand-up linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, you watch Myles Garrett; he's getting paid quite well. These guys that we have, you don't see him dropping into coverage. You might see him give up on a play or two because he's tired. You don't see him dropping back into coverage.
Yeah, he may take a play off or two like he's always done. But when that dude goes, he's going. And he's coming
out. Yeah, exactly.
Look, Jimbo's press conference was I can't repeat it enough, just same old gibberish, right? But then he starts complaining about the simulated snap and you see him on the 2-point conversion, and it's like, you go watch the video. It's a guy in the secondary clapping at his own teammate, trying to get his attention. Like, look, that has nothing to do with anything, right? First of all, that you probably should have been going for 2 in the first place, number one. And two, like your center should be able to you should be able to go with a silent snap count on the road in the end zone, just like it was that at that time, right? The other comment that he made was
Don't say it.
Miami
You're
was
talking about
6 and 7 guys on defense to get pressure on Connor.
no, I thought you were going to talk about
That's just a
Durkin.
lie. That's just a lie.
Gotcha.
Because not once did they bring 7. I don't even think that they brought 6 very often. Maybe once. Most of the time it was 5. The Aggies still couldn't block it. And so
Hey, how many times did we max protect that game? I mean, I'm just curious. I know you went back and watched it. Did we max protect it all?
no,
Running back, tight ends,
no. We kept
leave 7 guys.
kept one extra guy in on several occasions. There may have been once or twice that we max protected. I can't remember any one time in specific. So it may have happened, but it didn't happen very often. And for the most part, we were letting everybody out on routes. Tight end, so
Yeah.
5-man protection on a lot of them,
Well, I guess one of those guys was Johnson. He's not going to help max protect too much.
Yeah,
Saying.
yeah. Jake's got
He's not much of a willing blocker.
Yeah, he's got a little improvement. Hey, let's talk a little bit about this week's game, right? We're not going to focus too much on UL Monroe. Look, this is a gimme. They were one of the worst teams in football offensively last year. They were one of the worst teams in football defensively last year. They play at 3:00 at Kyle Field. They're on the SEC network. It's a good time slot. Terry Bowden, by the way, the coach over at UL Monroe, talk about a fall from grace. Terry Bowden did such a good job with this team. He was 4-8 the last 2 years. 4-8 the last 2 years. 103rd on offense, 122nd on defense last year. Let's hope that ULM doesn't fire Terry Bowden after this year, because Jimbo would probably hire him.
Well, I'm just afraid last week's game was a look-ahead game to this week. I think the Aggies were just looking ahead to ULM.
So
Because ULM can't throw the ball, and we were preparing to stop their run. Is all we were doing. That's what our game plan was last week. Jimbo was like,
point.
"Hey,
good point."
I think that's what he was doing." So
yeah, UL Monroe cannot throw the football. If you've watched them the last 2 weeks, which I have, in a win over Army 17-13 and a win over Lamar 24-14, big time programs. The quarterback.
Did you just say that you watched ULM last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Get a life, man. Get a life. You can't watch ULM games. What are you watching ULM? There's a lot more better football out there than ULM versus Army and Lamar.
Yeah, but we're only playing one ULM, baby. We're only playing one.
Oh, that's the game we're worried about.
So their quarterback's horrible, by the way. So let's start there. Let's start with the ULM offense against the Aggie defense. Look, they can't throw the football. So maybe that's what they were doing against Miami. They were getting ready for ULM because
that's it. That's all I can think of. Yeah, let's look at it.
Look, we're not once again, we're not going to spend a ton of time here. There are no huddle offense, a lot of one tight end, one back kind of situation, some counters, some zones. They're going to let the quarterback run, try to use a little bit of tempo and all those kinds of things, motions, misdirections, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, the quarterback cannot throw the football. Lamar was able to get pressure on the quarterback with 4 defensive linemen. Lamar. If this dude Durkin does not just do everything he has to do to put people into the box and just kill these guys, I don't understand. I won't get it. This should be elementary school football, right? Like just easy peasy.
Is ULM better than New Mexico?
No, they're not.
Okay.
So what do you want to see from our defense this week? Forget ULM. What do you want to see from our defense?
They to care less. It's the talent is so much different in these 2 games. We're not going to know shit until next week, to be honest. I mean, I want to see. I don't want to see our defensive linemen in coverage again. I don't want to see a 3-man line again. I mean, what I don't want to see, I want to see pressure. I want to see the guys playing and having fun out there. They're not having fun because they're losing. They're getting their ass kicked with these dumbass schemes. Let them. I mean, if I'd just tell Durkin to stay home this weekend and not even worry about it. Let the players call the defense. I bet they'd do a better job because they'd be like, you know what the hell to do.
Yeah,
You know?
100%, 100%. I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see pressure, man. I just want to see pressure. Bring everybody.
Yeah.
Bring
them all.
everybody. Man them up on the outside and just let it go.
Yeah.
If I were to wager with you and say, okay, I'll even give you good odds. Like I'll give you 60-40 odds or something along that nature. And I gave you a little wager here. I said, you take Durkin bringing pressure all day, and I'll take him doing the same old shit. Who do you think is going to win that bet?
Oh, he's gonna do the same old shit. Just like Jimbo as a play caller, he did the same shit. Just drove us nuts. I haven't seen any kind of trickeration. I haven't seen anything that, I think Jimbo told Petrino, like, hey, don't try any trick plays. Don't do anything sneaky. We don't
We
want to
don't do
score
trick
too
plays
many
here, buddy.
points.
We don't do trick
Yeah.
plays.
Yeah, we don't do tricks. We don't want to win.
And so last piece on this defense, right? Look, 100%. That's all I want to see. I want to see pressure. But we don't think that that's going to happen. We think Durkin's going to do the same old shit.
Mhm.
So given that, who do you think is going to have a big game?
Anderson. He's gonna come up and make a lot of big plays.
I like that.
I'm not gonna put it on
choice.
Damani. I think Damani is. I don't know. I wish he. I mean, I wish the best for Damani. He's just not a very instinctive player. His instincts are basically luck, which he did good last year. Anderson seems more instinctive. Chappelle seems more instinctive. The Grimes, a little bit. I don't know what's going on with that. Or DeBerry, I mean. DeBerry's more instinctive. Grimes, I don't know what's going on with that guy. I haven't seen him on the field. So.
Yeah, I like the pick on Anderson. From what I've seen the first 2 weeks, I feel like they've taken the aggressiveness out of Anderson. So I'm not sure that he's the guy. I'm not sure that they've got him sitting back so much. I mean, he's almost been a non-factor to the first couple of weeks. I liked what I saw out of Cooper last week. I hope that continues. I think Cooper could have a big game, especially with the running game on the other side, right?
Right.
All right, let's talk about the ULM defense against A&M's offense, and just for a little bit of background, 4-2-5 base, lots of zone, mixed fronts. They're undersized but aggressive. When they bring pressure, they're man coverage on the back end. All right, but let's really focus here on the A&M offense because, in all honesty, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what ULM does defensively. The A&M offense should dominate this game. What do you want to see from this A&M offense?
I want to see him run the ball. I want to see a power running game. I mean, everybody's seen our passing game this year. Through 2 games, we've been successful passing the ball, not very successful running the ball. I just want to see our offensive line play aggressive. I want to see them block. I want to see them do something that everybody's talking shit about, like we're talking shit about. I want to make us shut up, make everybody shut up, but you can't make them shut up against ULM. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit.
You can't.
Try to make us shut up against New Mexico. It didn't work because we saw what happened against Miami. And Auburn is next week. Is that right? Is Auburn next week?
Auburn next week.
And now Auburn's they're not bad, but they're not the best team in the SEC.
They're not
They're
good.
in the bottom. That's what I'm saying. They're not bad, but they're better than ULM.
Look, you're absolutely right. We're not learning anything from this offense against ULM. That is a fact. But if you cannot run the football against ULM, you cannot run the football against anyone. Anyone. I want to see this offense run the football. Period.
Yep.
Period. Now they couldn't do it against New Mexico. So what makes me think that they're going to do it this week? I don't know. But that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see Daniels have a monster game, just absolute get 25 carries and rush for 210 yards. That's what I want to see. And then I want to see Owens get 10 carries and rush for 97.
I thought you were going to say 226 yards.
And then maybe get 5 catches out of the backfield as well for
That's what I
another
want to see.
70, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what I want to see. And I want to see our running backs be productive in the run game, in the pass game. I want them to emphasize the running of the football because we haven't seen it. Not against New Mexico, definitely not against Miami, right? I mean, and it's not that they haven't had good runs, they just haven't ran the football, right? Offensive line has to be better. Tight ends have to be better at blocking, staying on their blocks. I want to see that. That's what I want to see. Now, given that, what do you actually expect to see, Corey?
Probably the same thing we have seen. Them the offensive line struggling against a weaker opponent. Connor throwing the ball downfield, Stewart and Thomas having big games, Moose disappearing for some reason, and them forgetting about Anias. That's what I plan on seeing. That's what I've
Yeah,
seen so far through 2 games.
it's such a shame too, right? It's a shame. I mean, it's like they're just not getting the ball to Anias enough. You know, that's a guy that does everything for this program. That's always done everything for this program as a senior. Like, let's let him go out on top, man. Get him the ball 10 times a game, right? I do expect, just like you said, for it to be the same thing, right? And based off of the defense here, I expect it to be the quick passing game that they try to exploit, not the over the top like New Mexico that had their safeties in the box, but more of the quick passing game with these guys having their safeties deep, not allowing the deep ball and trying to hit those. And you would think that's an Anias game, but at the same time, who do I expect to get the ball? Well, the same guy that Connor's been in love with is Stewart, right? And don't get me wrong, Stewart's a good player,
Great player.
But at the same time, you can't. You've got to get those other guys in the mix. And Nias is one, Moose is another. Moose is a beast. On any other team, that dude would be absolutely mossing on folks. And he can't get a chance here, right?
All right.
So who do you expect to have a big game?
I mean, like we said, Stewart, some of the same thing we have seen. I mean, maybe Owens, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on in Petrino's mind. I don't think Petrino's doing a whole lot wrong. If that offensive line, because I mean,
you know, let me chime in on that.
Yeah.
Because is Petrino better than Jimbo? 100%.
Yeah.
100%. But here's the thing. It's, everybody was all excited about Petrino because of his offenses and all this stuff. And the fact of the matter is that Petrino is another old school coach, just like Jimbo. He's of the same systematic type, schemes and whatever. And what I mean by that is that it's all matchups, right? And so the difference being that Petrino gives very clear pictures to his quarterbacks and to his players, right? It's not, we're going to do 7 different reads to figure out if this route is this and that route is that, right? It's like, okay, this is what's happening. Here's the matchup. See it, throw it, go. Easy peasy, right? He has simplified. However, the scheme itself, the routes, the formations, those things, they're still the same. All they're doing is one-on-one routes. We're going to go deep, one-on-one, and throw it up, one-on-one. We're going to run a slant, one-on-one, throw the slant, one-on-one. We're going to hitch it up, one-on-one. We're going to throw the out pattern, one-on-one, right? Everything is a one-on-one pattern, and they just throw it to the best matchup. And that works out pretty good for the Aggies because we got some damn good receivers, right? But you know what you don't see? You don't see guys getting open because of scheme. You don't see them running a ton of rub routes, getting guys open because of scheme. When making things easy, having the guy motion across the formation and come out into the flats, a quick throw in the flats for a short game to get in there and make it easy. Schematically getting guys open, double moves, trick plays, screens, all the things that the new age football guys implement into their systems with formations, motions, misdirections, right? What we
Mhm.
saw Georgia do last year as an offense. Remember what all the different things they did with Bauer to get touches, right? Like to get
Right.
wide open. I mean, or to get McConkey wide open. Those things that they did last year, unbelievable scheming, right? We don't do that. We're just going to run routes, and we're going to ask our offensive players to beat the other guy. Well, we've got good players, but don't you want to make it easy on them from time to time? Create some big plays out of it based off of scheme instead of just, ability. And that's the problem. That's why Jimbo hired somebody from his same time period. Why?
It's funny. It's funny you said that because it's like the offense is doing what the defense should be doing, and the defense should be doing, it's vice versa. It's like they're overthinking it on defense, and they're not thinking enough on offense. It's backwards. It's all backwards.
Well, and think about it, right? A defense has to react to all the different things that they see on an offense, right? Like a secondary has to adjust to the motions, to the misdirections, to all those things, and it's eyes. Well, you're not creating any of those problems for other people's defenses because you don't do any of those things, right? How about like tackle over and misdirection and screens and like trick plays, like reverses. You're never making people think, right? A defense never thinks when they face us. They just find their man, stick with it. It's easy. He ain't going anywhere. He's going to do exactly what he's going to do.
We don't want to make it too hard on them.
No, not too hard.
No. All right. So what's your call in the game? What do you think?
I went, a little bit of rant. Let's move on to the Aggies are minus 36.5, Corey, 53.5 over under. What do you think?
You said that New Mexico's better than this team. I'm taking the Aggies. This is what I've heard is a hurry up offense that hurry up and gets off the field. I think the Aggies are going to get the ball a lot. And I think Aggies, I don't know, 52-6.
Wow. And you got a lot of faith.
Well, they're going to beat up on these bad teams. They have to. I mean, they beat up on New Mexico, and you just said New Mexico is better than this team.
They are gonna look. They're gonna definitely beat up on them, but I don't think it's gonna be that bad. I'm gonna go 37-7. Just pulling it out.
That'll be like a halftime score.
I hope so. Because by the way, 37-7 is not an over and it's not a cover, by the way. All right,
mine is over and mine is a cover.
Yeah. Around college football, buddy. I commented to you earlier this week. I think this is the worst scheduled week of the season. Like, as far as marquee games,
there's usually a lot of upsets in that when that happens. That's what sucks.
Let's hope
a lot of road favors.
LSU, Mississippi State, maybe the game of the day. LSU's minus 9.5 with over a 53.
Give me LSU in the under.
Wow, no respect for Mississippi State, huh?
Mississippi State's changed their whole offense. I heard them talking about today. Rodgers threw the ball less than 20 times last game. Less than 20.
Can the defense slow down LSU? That's what I ask.
I don't think so. The only thing that's going to help Mississippi State is the damn cowbells ringing.
I'm going to go under, by the way. I'm going to go under, and I'm going to take Mississippi State with the points. Now, not to win, but to cover.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably wrong.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
This is one of my favorite games of the week because it's Big 12 SEC. K-State, Mizzou. K-State's minus 5 and an over-under of 49. K-State, Mizzou.
Have you watched Missouri play this year?
Yeah.
I haven't watched them or K-State much, so just off of what I've read, I'd take K-State.
I think, I like K-State in this game. I think Mizzou's defense has played decently in the first couple of weeks. Their offense has not necessarily, and I think they're going to face a team in K-State that's got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because they're getting no respect in the Big 12 in spite of being the defending champs, right? They're the defending Big 12 champions, and
Right.
nobody's really giving them much credit. I think they're sort of on a mission. I don't know if they're going to win the Big 12 2 years in a row, by the way. I'm not going to say that yet, but I do think that they beat Mizzou and they cover the 5.
All right.
South Carolina, Georgia, another SEC matchup, baby. Georgia's minus 27.5, over under 54.5. Does Rattler keep the Gamecocks in this game against Georgia?
I think so. I'll take the 27. That's almost 4 touchdowns. That's a lot.
It is.
The reason is Georgia hasn't impressed me on offense this year. I don't know what's going on with them, but they haven't been their typical easy peasy Georgia going up and down the field. And I heard a Georgia reporter talking about it, and they said their defense doesn't put a lot of pressure on the other team's quarterbacks right now. They're just playing more of a hitting the ball. They're not getting a lot of sacks.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this: a lot of folks are already complaining about Bobo, the new offensive coordinator for Georgia. Yeah, they don't like the new scheme. I just don't know from what I've seen from South Carolina in the first couple of weeks. I'm not sure that their lines, offensive and defensive lines, are going to be able to hold up to Georgia. And you're right; it may not. I don't know if it goes much over 27.5, but it scares me enough that it could end up at 28. Right? They're very close to that, and sort of over four quarters is my thought process. But if I was forced to bet this, I'd probably take the points. Fortunately, I'm not forced to bet it.
There you go.
Bama, South Florida. Bama's minus 32. 61.5 over under.
Man, I'd lean Bama. They got to get right. They have to have a game like A&M does where they just beat the crap out of somebody. And this might be a bad game for South Florida. So I don't know what Saban's going to do, but he's got to practice that offense. And he usually takes his foot off the pedal. I don't think he's going to take it off the pedal this game.
And
he got to figure out.
I kind of agree with you. You know, Bama's notorious. Saban's notorious for bounce backs, right? I mean, just coming off of a loss, and his team is just super motivated and focused. If they don't cover this, by the way, if they don't cover this 32 and come out here and just dominate South Florida, I'd be worried as a Bama fan as far as what this season's going to look like. And what does that mean for Bama? It means that they may lose 2 or 3 games.
Right.
Here's another good matchup that people think is a good matchup. Tennessee against Florida, another SEC matchup. Tennessee's minus 6.5, 59 over under. The line seems like it's small.
It seems like, I don't know. I don't believe in Florida at all. So give me Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee hasn't been Tennessee of last year by any means, but Florida is not Florida of the last 2 decades or whatever. They're terrible.
Yeah. Look, they're playing at Florida.
Oh, and give me the under, by the way, the under 2. I don't see 59 points being scored by Tennessee's going to score 59 for that to get to 59.
I do like the under. They're playing at Florida. I guess that's the only thing Florida has going for it. Everybody's giving those guys a lot of credit. Maybe still giving their coach too much credit. I'm not real sure exactly why this line is as tight as it is. There has been some struggles at Tennessee. I fully expect this to be, I don't know, maybe the best game Milton plays all year. And I think Tennessee wins this game because this is a rivalry, my friend. This is hatred. And Florida beat Tennessee for like 10 years consecutive or something. I don't know, whatever it was, right? Tennessee is out for revenge. And
I just like Heupel. I like Heupel as a coach.
Yes. A lot more than
maybe he's the next Aggie. He might be the next Aggie coach.
I don't think he'll ever leave Tennessee. Vandy.
$100 million, baby. $100 million.
$100 million a year. Vandy, UNLV. Vandy's favored -4 over under 57. What do you think?
Oh, Vandy. I'm not sure about the over under. Just give me Vandy. We need the Vandy win here.
This is a must win for Vandy if they're going to hit the over on the season, right?
Yeah.
Must
This
win.
and they need one SEC game, I think.
They
I
they'll
don't know.
still need one SEC game. If they
It'll be
lose to
South Carolina or somebody.
UNLV, if they lose to UNLV, the season's over. The guy, it's done. It's just done.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so I take Vandy.
Yeah, me too.
The Georgia Tech former Aggies against Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 20 points, 63 over under. Do you give Haynes King a chance against Ole Miss this week?
No. No.
Not even within 20, huh?
No. No. He lost bad to Louisville. I think Ole Miss would beat Louisville.
Yeah.
And then being at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin doesn't take his foot off the gas either. He just goes.
Yeah, I like Ole Miss too.
Man,
I
when I take
do.
the 63,
I think most
he might go
importantly,
over.
Ole Miss is going to be able to move the ball up and down the field at will.
At will. Yeah, they'll run the ball up and down.
BYU
Here's an
and
interesting game.
Arkansas. BYU
That's
at
interesting.
Arkansas. Arkansas is minus 9.5, 51 over under.
You know, BYU's on like a 6 or 7 game winning streak going back from last year.
I
I
wouldn't
didn't know
have
that.
been
I
able
heard
to
on
tell
radio
you.
today. Heard on Paul Feinbaum or somebody's. I can't. No, what's his name? The guy from. Anyway, I mean, I think Arkansas is going to win the game. I don't know what BYU has this year, but I take Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, 9.5 is a good chunk of change, right? I mean, it's not like a small line. For the SEC sake, I hope Arkansas covers. How about that?
Gotcha.
Akron and Kentucky. Kentucky's minus 25, 49 over under. Does Kentucky snap
Yeah.
out of their doldrums at the beginning of this year?
No, something's wrong with that team. It's not. They're not scoring points. They're not beating teams up like I thought they would. I mean, I'm not sure like I thought they would, but I mean, I thought they'd be winning by more convincing. No, I'd take Akron in the points.
Yeah, they haven't really. Kentucky hasn't shown anything, but maybe this is the week that the call comes together.
Mm-hmm.
How about Florida State and Boston College? Florida State is minus 25.5.
Florida State's one of the best teams in the nation. I take Florida State.
I'm pretty sure Boston College is one of the worst teams in the nation. I pick Florida State.
Yeah.
Penn State and Illinois. Penn State's minus 14.5, 48.5 over under.
Give me Penn State.
It's
Illinois.
interesting.
Illinois just lose to last week. Kansas. And
Yeah.
Kansas looked like, a lot better team than Illinois. I think Penn State's a better team than Kansas. So, you're giving me 14 points. Yeah, I'll take Penn State by 28.
To me, the Big Ten's been interesting because maybe Penn State's been the team that's looked the best, even more than Michigan and Ohio State. And I don't know that when it comes to head-to-head matchup, by the way, I don't know that they'll win those. I still think Michigan's the best team out of the Big Ten. But right now, Penn State's looked the best. And you're right. I'd take Penn State over Illinois. You can give me 20 points probably.
Right.
Central Michigan and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's minus 34.5 with over under 53.5. What do you think?
That's a lot of points. And I think Notre Dame has a big game next week. They might be looking ahead. I might take Central Michigan the 34.5, 5 touchdowns.
It is a look ahead game for sure. A potential look ahead game for Notre Dame. They've got Ohio State next week, so that's pretty big.
Yeah.
I don't think Central Michigan's all that good either, though.
I don't think so. I think Notre Dame will just keep Hartman out of harm's way, run the ball with that big running back, and
they'll win comfortably. The
be
question
happy.
is, will they get to 35? Yeah, I think that's probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably close, but I don't know. It's right in there. They'll run the football.
Mm-hmm.
On the fence. San Diego State, Oregon State. Oregon State's minus 44.5. Pac-12 starting to get a little bit of respect.
Have you watched Oregon State play?
Yeah.
I like them. I'm impressed. They have a good offensive line. Ukulele or whatever his name is, the quarterback's all right. They got good running backs. That's a solid team. 24.5 against San Diego State's a lot of points. I'd probably lean San Diego State's way, but Oregon State's a very good team.
I'm kind of thinking Oregon State. I like what they've done. Like you said, I like the fact that they've got an offensive line that protects their quarterback and has done a good job in the running. I think that team also has a lot to prove, right? Everybody is talking about the Pac-12, but they're talking about Oregon and USC and Utah. And sort of Oregon State sometimes gets left left behind there and doesn't get much attention. I expect them to show out this week. I'd take them and give the points. Oklahoma and Tulsa in the rivalry game. To Oklahoma against Tulsa in the rivalry game. At Tulsa, by the way, unusual. But Oklahoma's minus 27.5, over under 59.5.
It's a lot of points. I mean, I think that should be a high scoring game. I take the over. I feel more confident about the over than I would Oklahoma and 28 points for the 4 touchdowns. So
did Oklahoma cover
I don't
last
know
week?
much about Tulsa. Huh?
Did Oklahoma cover last week?
They were up 14-11 and then scored 2 touchdowns, going 28-11. Yes, they covered by who did they play?
They played.
Can't remember who they played.
Gosh almighty. My memory's
I don't
failing.
remember.
I'll
They
think
came, but they did cover it.
But they did cover. And I guess where I was
Yeah,
going
they were
with
part of
that
our
is-
bet, that big parlay we won.
where I was going with that is
Actually, wait, did they cover the actual spread or the parlay or the other spread? I can't remember if it was a teaser you had them in or not. But anyway, go ahead.
they covered. And I'm picking them to cover again.
Okay.
Oklahoma. David Coffin's pick of the week.
Here you go.
Minnesota against UNC. This one could be interesting. UNC's minus 7.5. You expect Minnesota to be able to score with the Tar Heels?
I don't expect a lot of scoring at all. I take the under in this game. Minnesota, I watched them play Nebraska this year. Ugly football. Ugly.
Yeah.
They huddle up, they let that play clock run down. Carolina's defense has been better than I thought. Their offense hasn't been as good. I think Carolina wins
Drake
this
May,
game.
that's your boy, man. Drake May, you're not gonna support him?
I like it. I just said I think Carolina win. I just like the under better than I like anything.
Uh,
Under would be my pick.
I'll say this. Mac Brown before the season said that they have constructed the perfect offense for Drake May. I think that thing is still under construction because it has not been very good. And
Mac Brown's been a lot.
Yeah. Look, they lost their offensive coordinator, Phil Longo, and I think that's hurt them, right? That has hurt them. And here's the other thing, Corey. The NCAA, again, in its infinite stupidity, has disallowed the wide receiver for North Carolina, has not allowed him to go in and play. They've denied his waiver request, and it makes no damn sense because the first team he went to play for, by the way, canceled their freaking season. And of course, if it were Ohio State, the NCAA would have said, yes, of course, here you go. Here's your waiver. But it isn't. It's UNC, and they don't give a crap. And of course, they don't do shit for student athletes. They do it for themselves. Another stupid, retarded decision by the NCAA. I can't be more clear about how I feel about that, can I?
No, sounded good.
Northwestern and Duke.
Duke, big time.
Duke, big.
Northwestern, that's a struggling program. They don't have any kind of identity. They just, no. Yeah, Duke.
Love it. Western Kentucky, one of our favorites, Western Kentucky, playing Ohio State University. Ohio State's minus 28.
Man, I like Western Kentucky. I think that they might score enough points just to cover the spread. I mean, Ohio State beat Youngstown State 35-7 last week. I think Western Kentucky's good for like 2 or 3 touchdowns. And Ohio State might score like 6 touchdowns, but
so you're saying take the
over 3.
Over
might be a good. What's that? 6 and 3, 9 times 7. That's only 63 points. I don't know. It might be. It's gonna be close.
Over.
I
love Western Kentucky in this spot right here. I just think that once again, Ohio State's got a huge game coming up next week. You know that they're getting things lined up for that against Notre Dame, and Western Kentucky is consistently a team that can score on anybody, and that ability, along with the fact that Ohio State hasn't exactly been as explosive as they normally have been, I think there's a chance that Western Kentucky actually competes. They're not going to win, but they're going to compete.
Gotcha.
Washington at Michigan State. Washington is minus 16. Michigan State's coach suspended amidst allegations that apparently he sexually harassed the sexual harassment teacher.
Good for him. It's just
That
weird.
doesn't
That's
seem
weird.
that doesn't seem like the right move, though, does it?
No.
The person he brought in to talk to his players about sexual harassment is the person he sexually harassed.
Jesus, that's weird. Give me Washington. Washington's pretty good. Michigan State, not so much.
I'll take Washington. I I'm wondering whether I really want to go into the details of some of that because
Do you know the details?
the guy masturbated while talking to her on the phone.
How does she know? Did he tell her that? You say I'm
He's admitted
masturbating?
to it, by the way, and said it's consensual. So he's
How
not
was it
denying the
consensual?
claims. He's not denying.
How was it consensual? Did she say, "Oh, good, you are masturbating"? I mean, consensual means that was she helping him, like talking dirty?
Yeah, that she was encouraging it. Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I can't understand it then. That doesn't make any sense.
Look,
I didn't know people still. I didn't know people still did that.
I didn't either. So, but
Phone sex.
here's my thing, and I imagine, I don't know. As much as Aggies regret the Jimbo Fisher extension, I think that Michigan State might regret the Mel Tucker contract more, right? Like
Yeah, he had
they
that
gave
one
him
good season with Walker at running back, and it's gone to shit after that.
10 years, 95 million they gave.
Hmm.
It's the same as Jimbo, which is bad.
Yeah.
And he has done nothing since they gave him that contract.
Wait, and that's the best he can do is have phone sex after getting that? Something's not right, man. That dude's not. Hey, he's not. You give me $95 million. I'm not
Hey,
having phone
his
sex. I'm not having
wife
phone
now knows
sex.
about it, by the way. His wife now knows about
I mean, I'm just saying. Well, he's not going to have $95 million after. He's going to
it. Yeah.
cut that in half.
Half. He's gonna have
Yeah,
half.
yeah, yeah. After legal
All right.
fees, probably less than that.
Last game here today, man. Wyoming, Texas. Texas minus 28 and a half, 48 and a half over under.
Give me Wyoming. And it is why now 48 and a half. I mean, I might like the over too.
Maybe. I'll tell you what, man. And here's my thinking. I'm not trying to take anything away from Texas. Look, they just beat Alabama, but they're coming
Yeah.
off of just beating Alabama, right? There might be a little bit of a letdown. They're still going to win this game. They're going to win this game.
Oh yeah.
Wyoming beat Texas Tech, by the way.
Yeah. But they were at home, the first game of the season.
Sure,
If they played
sure,
Texas Tech tomorrow, I think Tech would beat them. But
probably.
yeah,
But
Tech looked pretty good against Oregon.
I say it just to say that they're not a bad team. And I think Texas has a little bit of a letdown after the big win over Alabama. Texas wins, but I don't think they cover. Questions from the tailgate brought to you by Providence Financial Coaching. Call Steve Gay, certified financial counselor at 863-732-6224. Integrity, accountability, resourcefulness in financial coaching. Visit their website at providencefinancialcoaching.com. They've got over 20 years of experience in corporate finance. Let them know you heard about them from the Ags Tailgate. All right, first question, man. What's going to be the biggest talking point around college football after week 3?
Where's Deion Sanders going to go coach next year? Biggest talking point. I mean, I can't imagine him staying at Colorado. There's too many bigger schools like Texas A&M and Florida that probably need coaches. So, just saying.
I think he stays at Colorado one more year while his guys, specifically Shador, his son, and Hunter, the cornerback, D-back and wide receiver are still there with eligibility.
No, he leaves, they go with him.
The problem is the second transfer, as you know from the UNC situation, requires a waiver.
If your coach leaves, aren't you free to go?
I can't remember
that's the rule.
exact
I think
rules
that's
that
the
change
rule.
all the time, but all I'm telling you is I think he's there for at least more than 1 year, for at least 2.
I don't think so. I'm just saying. I think that's one of the biggest talks. I think will be where is Deion going? Because I can't imagine him staying in Colorado. They don't have the resources there to get what he wants to get done. If he wanted to come to A&M, I would open arms and say bye, Jimbo. I think it would be a fun show.
There's been a lot of conversation about that out there in the social media sites and the message boards? Like, is Dion the guy? Would Dion
I would
be in the
love it,
situation?
dude. The Aggies, Johnny Manziel's opened a fucking bar in Northgate. You don't think Dion and Johnny would be partying it up all the time, getting recruits to Aggie land? Everybody's like, "Oh, we might lose some recruits." And I don't give a shit. He's gonna bring in his guys. He's exciting. I like what he's doing in Colorado. I hate listening to his ass talk all the time, but hey, man,
Let me tell you
got to
something.
take the
I
good.
love
You got to take the
Deion
good with the
Sanders.
bad, right? You got to take the good with the bad. And right
Look,
now,
man,
we're
I
taking the
think he's done
bad
a
with the
phenomenal
bad.
job. I think he's done a phenomenal job. And the first
Yeah.
thing he did there was bring his ultra talented son to come in and play quarterback. And he brought in the number one in recruiting in the nation last year that plays cornerback and plays wide receiver and is on the field like 80% of the game. And
He
that
puts his
dude
best
can
player on the field.
go. That
His
dude
best
can
player.
go. And you know what he does? He gives them a shot to go play. He just lets them go play.
Hey,
I like that.
who?
You know what
Let
I
me
don't
ask
like
you a
about
question.
Deion Sanders is that the dude
He's Deion Sanders.
can't shut the hell up sometimes. Like
Yeah.
he is all about Deion Sanders, and there is 0% chance that dude ends up coaching at A&M. Zero. Let me repeat that: 0% chance.
I disagree.
Even though he's likely going to end up coaching somewhere else in 2 years.
Hey, what you think Connor Wegman's better than his son, or who's the better quarterback?
I love me some Connor, man. I ain't going to go against him.
There you go. I like it too. Go ahead.
Question number 2: do you expect any drastic changes after the Miami loss?
No.
Nothing.
Not this week. Not this week. Nothing you're going to see this week. You're going to be like, I mean, you're not going to be able to tell this week. You're playing ULM.
How about this? Anybody that starts that hasn't been starting.
I don't know who's the starter right tackle. I don't know if Santos, his father, he's healthy. I don't know if what's the other guy's name that into the game? Yeah, Crownover. I don't know who's going to be at right tackle. Johnson at tight end. I mean, if I see him keep tight ends and running backs in for pass protection, max protect this week, I'm gonna be pissed. I'd rather let the offensive line work out their own kinks. You know, you don't need to max protect against ULM in New Mexico. Max protect against Miami, Auburn, Arkansas, Alabama. Give our skill guys get the
I'm going
ball
to tell
to
you that for
Anias.
sure there's going to be one different starter. Shamar Turner got arrested for speeding the other day.
Where was he in Georgia?
Close to campus.
Jesus,
like 85 and a 40 or something.
Is that illegal now for football players?
I mean, not for football
Evidently.
players.
No.
Not if the car was bought with NIL money anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, but I've got to imagine. They haven't actually announced that he's going to be suspended, but I've got to imagine that he gets at least a half suspension or something. I don't know.
You better call Cameron Reynolds real quick. Call Cam.
By the way, he's actually been our most productive defensive lineman, I think, which I predicted before the season.
Right.
You
think he's been our most productive defensive lineman over McKinley?
He's got more tackles for losses and more sacks than anybody else on the team.
Well, McKinley gets double teamed the whole game. Of course, you better.
I think McKinley's been our best defensive lineman so far this season. I do.
So when you say the most productive and best don't equal to each other, I got you.
Right. And here's my thing. And look,
my employees better not listen to that.
I wish they would play McKinley and Nolan together for like 75% of the plays. Period.
Not happening.
But it ain't happening.
Not happening.
Yeah, I don't think any drastic changes like schematically by any means. Corey, this week is whatever, man. The only thing that they can do the only thing they can do this week is look bad. Because even if they win 60-0, they can't look good against ULM. So let's get through this one. Let's go play Auburn, and then we'll talk. You know what I mean?
Sounds groovy.
All right, brother, man. Gig 'em Aggies. C Money, AP, signing out from the tailgate.
Holla.